Hi, I'm Samuel. I'm 14 years old. I am kind of dyslexic. I am colorblind, and I'm a Renaissance nerd. And I am autistic. A little while ago, my condition would have been diagnosed as Asperger's, but recent studies have shown that this is just autism in a slightly different shell. Autism is quite a wide spectrum. I was diagnosed when I was about 8 years old, and my family and I had just come back from Papua New Guinea, where we had done 6 months of missionary work in a remote jungle. My diagnosis was difficult for me to understand at first. I felt like a puzzle piece put in the wrong box, and I was very depressed and felt angry with God. And to be honest, this struggle doesn't go away over time. It's something that I have to challenge on a daily basis. Getting a diagnosis did help to some extent. It helped put a name to my experience. It also helped me understand why I viewed the world a little bit differently. And being autistic isn't easy. The world isn't tailored for autistic people. It's full of loud noises, crowds of people, and blinking lights, and social interactions that are completely alien to me. Autistic people have to adapt to the world around us, because the world simply won't adapt for us. And this isn't me denying who I am. This is me growing and adapting into a better version of myself that can communicate with you guys better. And if I didn't do this, our communication would just completely miss each other. It would be like we're speaking two completely different languages. This is just simply because our brains are wired differently. Me trying to fully explain this to you is like a bird trying to explain flight to a rhino. But hopefully by the end of the session, we can get you rhinos off the ground a little bit. Just so I have to learn your language all the time, the point of this session is to help you learn a bit of ours too. I've been going to COIC Nahuahia for about 8 years now. And to begin with, I went with my family. Mum and Dad were usually the camp speakers, and I would join in with some of the camp activities. In later years, I would stay in the cabins with the rest of my campmates, and I was very lucky. If I hadn't been there with my family, probably would have opted out of camp within a couple hours. But some kids don't get the choice to go to camp with their families, and others are a bit more resilient than I was. But they will still struggle with similar stuff, and camp is not easy. Yeah, camp is also very loud. And I didn't have a lot of friends when I started going to camp, and because of my autism, it was very hard to make any new ones. And camp games, they were just incredibly confusing. I mean, people didn't even follow the rules. Not even the leaders. How can you have a game with no rules? The rules is what makes a game a game. I find it very frustrating. It's just weird. I don't know why. Being forced to join in with activities that I find uncomfortable makes me feel attacked. Asking me to go sing or dance in a group setting is not encouraging at all. It really freaks me out. It's like me trying to peer pressure my mum into bungee jumping. She would hate it. But I probably could do it if I really tried. But she would feel hurt, and she would feel like the people who were supposed to be her advocates and be part of her team have just done the opposite. And this is how I feel when I am encouraged to sing and dance in a group setting. Because the camp activities are just so full and busy, it's really difficult to find an opportunity to just calm down and reset emotionally and mentally. I might be able to handle the pace of a day or two, but sooner or later, I need a quiet space and a cup of tea. The food at camp is usually quite delicious, but for me, not getting enough protein and fresh vegetables makes me feel tired, sick, and emotionally depressed. At least it's part of the package. However, as a leader, I have worked with other autistic campers who only want to eat the same thing every night and hate any new textures or flavors. It's really difficult too. If they aren't getting the nutrients they need, then their emotions and their behaviors just got to be a lot more challenging. Yes, they act like little devils. So with autistic people and their food, there isn't really one experience, but it is an issue that you guys have to be aware of. Also with autistic people, sleeping arrangements. Yeah, they usually suck. There tends to be two polar opposites. The first is hyperactive. They don't want to go to sleep, they want to stay up and play and laugh. And the second is hypersensitive, and they desperately want to go to sleep, but they need absolute silence to do so. I am the latter. Once in my cabin, I remember a stupid fly buzzing around the room all night. Halfway through that night, I tried to swat it. I only succeeded in falling out of my bed. Luckily, I was on the bottom bunk. That night sucked. Damn. Really, I just want you to understand that camp is quite overwhelming. And autistic children, just surviving a whole week at camp is a huge challenge. I'm a lit now, and the last couple camps that I've been on, I've had the responsibility not only to get through camp myself, but also to get campers who are neurodiverse to also get through camp and enjoy it on the way too. There's this one camper that I've worked with a couple times now, and he always asks if I'll be at camp before he registers, and he won't go unless I'm there. Annoyingly, I can't remember his name right now, but I have an excuse. I'm actually autistic. This camper didn't want to be at camp. He only wanted to do one activity, and that was kayaking, and he only wanted to eat KFC every night. And he would have to take ice cream with his medication, and that's a huge fuss. But after a couple days of struggle, support, and encouragement, he managed not only to try new foods and activities, but he also managed to take his ice cream 100%, also managed to take his medication, 100% ice cream free. What was the key? How did a 14-year-old lit with his own problems encourage this antisocial, picky, and anxious camper to push his boundaries and grow? The answer is empathy. Empathy isn't trying to fix their emotions. It isn't trying to get them to ignore their emotions either. It's purely about feeling their emotions with them and helping them process those emotions. Empathy and sympathy are not the same thing. I would like to share a short video with you that will help explain this.
Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, you can climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. I had a, yeah. And we do it all the time. Because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
So, although it is important to learn to empathize, my English is terrible today. Emphasize, you know what I mean, with these kids. We can't just fix all their problems. That wouldn't be empathy. They still need to be part of the process, and they themselves need to be the ones to conquer their challenges. You can make some accommodations, but you can't change an entire camp just so one camper feels like everything goes their way. It is really important to prepare the camper to realize that things necessarily won't go their way, and that it won't necessarily be easy. And helping the camper to get ready to face these struggles is very important. Being able to predict what is coming, even if it's not easy, helps us be more resilient. So for you as program coordinators, just stick to the program. Be organized. Let your campers know what they're supposed to be doing and when they're supposed to do it. And coach your leaders to remind their campers of the day's plans. For me, it makes a difference between camp or no camp. And it's incredibly easy. You just have to remember. So that's my experience and observations of camping as a neurodiverse camper and lit. My hope is that as you explore the concepts and experiences we have discussed today, you will be better equipped to make your camps more encouraging for neurodiverse campers. You will be better aware of where we might struggle. You have better awareness of the importance of empathy and what that means. And honestly, it's quite exhausting. And finally, you will understand the importance of good organization and communication. Thank you for your time. I hope that you runners feel like you can fly just a little bit better.